Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we got a couple of new guys here. Some of y'all might be wondering what's the whole deal with the facility thing when we can go to a garage with some R-mats and hammer out a tank. The biggest advantage of a facility is it allows us to modify our vehicles in ways that are just straight upgrades or changes the way that they act completely. So if you will follow me over here, I've got a few examples. So these are, somebody's moved my Jeep. Taco, give me back my Jeep.
I'm putting it back.
So as you can see, this doesn't look like a normal Argonaut. What has happened is we have put it on one of our upgrade pads here, and we have upgraded it so that it has more armor. If you look right here at our ambulance, or what used to be an ambulance is now a fire truck. What? No. And then finally here, you'll see that this is what we like to call our heavy truck. It is a fantastic vehicle that is facility locked, but has great movement speed both on and off-road.
But can it kill wardens?
It can. They can run over wardens quite well. Alright, if everybody will back off of the upgrade pad here. So as you all see, this right here is just a normal tankette. What we can do is actually... Oh, I pulled a flame tankette, didn't I?
No, that's a normal one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You just need more PCMs.
No, I shift-E'd and I saw a flame truck, not the tankette, sorry. So what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to go ahead and upgrade this. So we have a 12.7 millimeter tankette right now.
Open top.
Open top. And just by adding a few of the facility locked materials and putting it on an upgrade pad, we're going to upgrade this to a 30 millimeter enclosed tankette. So you don't have to be worried about wardens throwing a grenade on top of your head and taking you out of your tankette anymore. Some of the Colonial's best tanks are actually just straight upgrade tanks. One of the biggest ones being the Spatha, which is a upgraded tank of the Falchion. It goes basically, what is it, a 6.4 second reload time down to 3.2. It cuts it in half. You can literally fire 2 tank shells before the enemy can fire 1. It is a fantastic upgrade. Not only can we upgrade tanks and change their very nature, we can, once we get further into the tech tree, create tanks literally from nothing. I'm speaking of that, I'm talking about specifically our battle tanks, our battle tank destroyers, our super heavy tanks. Yes, Ficus, I'm going to get to how to supply the facility here in just a second. But that will come further down the tree. So basically this is just going to be a short how to upgrade. So as you saw, just place your base vehicle on the upgrade pad. Each upgrade pad is different, so you will have to look and see what all upgrades it can do. But if you hit E on the upgrade pad, you can hover over all of the extra, basically all the upgrades that can do. So the tankette one, you can see it's only 10 construction materials and 15 assembly materials level 1. So you just make sure that those items are over here in the stockpile. Put the base vehicle on, click the button, and wait 5 minutes. You'll also notice here that we do have to worry about power when it comes to a facility. So right now on this current network we have 24 available power and we are using 10.5 of it. If this number is 0, it doesn't matter how many times you click, you're never going to be able to do anything in the facility. Alright, we'll come over here to our facility buildings and we're going to talk about how we go about actually creating and making stuff. So we are on a coal facility, so one of the most important things that we can do is when the coal field pops is to empty out these stationary harvesters right here and input those materials into, thank you, using the train. You can drive the train next to them and hit Shift E to access the inventory of the stationary harvesters, and then you can back it up and hit Shift E to access the coal liquefiers and put the coal into the liquefiers. By doing that, you can see that it has two queues available: coal into coke, or coal and water into concrete, sulfur, and oil. This is probably one of the greatest recipes that we have access to. This is free concrete and petrol to fuel the facility, as well as provide us concrete that we're already using to upgrade the base. To set a queue is fairly simple. First, you should come up here and look at the total orders right underneath production. If it says 5 out of 5, you can no longer put any more queues in this. It is maxed out. If this were to say 4 out of 5, the easy way to do this would be to come down here. You have two options. Personal queue, which is only you can put materials in it, and only you can pull those materials. We don't want to use that. We want to use the public queue right here. We will come down and click this button right here. This button turns green, your queue is now active, and it is creating things. This right here is pretty much a guarantee. Whenever you come into this facility, you should double check these 3 coal liquefiers and make sure that they are 5 out of 5.
And that they have coal in them,
And that they have coal.
if you can.
Alright, let's talk about making some materials here. So most of the materials that are made in the facility are made with construction materials. So this right here is a materials factory. In fact, all of these 3 buildings right here that you see are material factories with certain upgrades put on them. This one right here is a smelter. So basically what that allows us to do, let's see. So this top queue right here that you'll see is salvage into construction materials, salvage into maintenance supplies. All material factories can make these two queues. By upgrading them, you'll see down here where it says smelter, it gives you extra queues that you can set, basically extra things you can do. So this building is really good because we can use salvage and coke to make our construction materials at a much more efficient rate. So instead of 10 salvage for 1 CMAT, we can instead do 15 salvage and 25 coke for 3 CMATs. Same thing for this one. This is called a forge. So in this building is where we would make our assembly materials level 1 and our assembly materials level 2. You'll notice that assembly materials level 2 actually uses petrol, and you have a liquid tank status down here. So this is basically all the petrol that is in the building. So if you were to need to make assembly materials level 2, the only thing that you have to make sure is in here is the salvage. As long as this bar is full, you can make assembly materials level 2. And then the last one right here is called an assembly bay. So it can make maintenance supply, the basic maintenance supplies, construction materials, but also can make sandbags, barbed wire, at metal beams, and CMATs. This also
And
brings
sandbags are not concrete,
correct.
so you know.
Yeah. This queue should probably never be set in this facility unless you're specifically asked for it. Or if you just want to make some and move it to the front. This also brings up a common problem that people have in facilities. So you have 2 separate stockpiles. You have the public stockpile, which is there on the right, but you also have access to what's called your private stockpile. So if you see right here on the left, I have 25 salvage in this queue. So 25 salvage for CMATs and metal beams. Until I remove that salvage, I cannot set any other queue. It will not let me. So if you're ever trying to set a queue and it tells you you must retrieve all items, make sure you look right here. Make sure that you don't have numbers. If you have numbers right here, it's very simple to just right click on it and you can submit it to the stockpile. If you are doing public queues, and let's say that all the salvage is full here, you can actually put salvage by shift clicking, put salvage into your private stockpile, and it will pull from your private stockpile, but still put the output into the public stockpile. So if for some reason that this is full of materials and you're still trying to make a bunch of stuff, you can shift click down here on your inputs and put more in. So that's pretty much your basic materials that you're going to make in a facility when it comes to making things. Your assembly materials level 1, your CMATs, and your assembly materials level 2. Start getting up a little bit more advanced to our level 2 materials, our tier 2 materials. You can see we're already making some. We're actually at 4 out of 5 Qs, so this will be a good time for somebody who wants to practice. You can go ahead and make sure you're clicked on your selected public, and come down here to the construction materials, metal beams, and heavy oil, and click on this to go ahead and get it started. Anyone want to try it? Go ahead and set a key. There we go. So these are
I did a thing.
You did a thing, and it's awesome.
A helpful thing.
Very helpful. We want to try and get max Qs because it's more efficient. So you'll see right here that this Q takes 8 power. Having more Qs does not mean that this is going to take 40 power. It's still going to use 8 power in the building. So having our Qs maxed out actually improves our efficiency because we're making more for the same amount of power. In this is called a recycler building. So in here we're using there's a bunch of different ways to make process construction materials. We choose to make it out of salvage just based on where we're at. You can make it in other buildings, but just know that this is the backbone of facility right here. We will go through tens of thousands of this material right here, not to only make battle tanks, but railstorm cannons, trains, and the more advanced assembly materials.
As well as the heavy truck. That's not
Hey,
that
Cave,
expensive.
quick question. What's the material used to build these rails that we use everywhere?
Construction material. So the small gauge rail that we're standing on right now, this is construction material. When we get into the large gauge rails, those actually take 5 process construction materials to build. Most everything in this facility that you're going to use is going to be done with facility built things. So you're not going to be bringing very many BMATs or EMATs over here to make stuff. Alright, so this is our blast furnace right here. This is basically where you come to make your more advanced assembly materials. So in here we can make both our assembly materials level 3 and 4. You can see right here, in order to be able to see what it costs, it's 1 PCM and 66 liters of heavy oil. You can see down here we also have the standard liquid container.
One sec. You can also tell what type of material it is to make it by the symbol in the top left. You will notice that it's a sulfur material emblem or heavy oil, coke, etc. You can also hover over the question mark underneath the power button or the Q button. E.
Alright,
Like
I said, I know this is a lot of information to take in, guys. This is basically just to show you, hey, this is what you can do to help, and by doing this, you're going to be able to upgrade your own tanks. So, as far as what to do, we've already gone over bringing in coal and putting it into our liquefiers. The other key material that we need is just basic salvage. So if you all open your maps, you'll see down in Scuttletown to our northeast there are 2 salvage mines. Both of those salvage mines you can reach with this small gauge rail right here. So if anybody wants to go ahead and jump on that, I'm gonna grab a heavy truck.
Oh, one thing before we go. There will periodically be switches like these. If you are the one driving, you will see a white line showing where the path will go with the current switch layout. All you have to do is run up and hit E, and you can swap it.
Hey, sorry I didn't hop on the train immediately because
you're good.
family was talking to me.
Is that everybody?
actually let us use pills from the back of the trains.
Ooh, concrete.
I want our newer people to get some practice using the small gauge real quick and just being able to pull a little bit of salvage, just so you can see how it works.
Here, because you can shift E and access both salvage mines.
Alright, so if you've never played with the small gauge, now's a good time to do it. You can just come over here, you can jump into the engine itself, and you can hit Shift E, and you should be able to see 2 salvage mines and 2 liquid containers. Vicus, you know how to do this.
I know, but I'm also doing footage.
Oh, fair enough. Alright, so hit Shift E. You can select one of the salvage mines, and you should see the salvage in the top left. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say something important. If you look down there on the left, you'll see your train engine and then 4 cars along it. You have to select one of those cars and then shift click on the salvage in order to be able to pull it into your train. Yes, perfect, excellent. There you go. Anybody else want to give it a try real quick?
I like that you can do that from the vehicle. It's hand.
Oh yeah.
It's got
Said
a
it was
fairly
full.
good range on it as well. Anybody else want to give it a shot real quick that might not have done it? Actually, I think everybody else here has probably done this 100,000 times by now. Pulling this salvage though is really good, guys. So these mines right here, they refill with salvage every 15 minutes. Something important to remember though is when you do access the inventory, you'll see right here, this is the petrol. You can click on this refuel button right here, and as long as there is petrol in the liquid containers next to them, they will go ahead and refill themselves.
You can do this while sitting in the train.
Yes. So as you're pulling the salvage, you can click that button, and you should get in the habit of clicking that button every time you come down here to pull salvage. And while we're here, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this real quick. Also, guys, if you do plan on doing a bunch of logi and a bunch of facility work, I would highly suggest that you get yourself an auto clicker program. It is fantastic. It will save your wrist. It will save your fingers. It's skirting the level of terms of service. I've never heard of anybody getting banned for using an auto clicker. I have heard of people getting banned by sitting at a component mine, spam clicking it while they're not actually there. So, do with it as you want. I've got over almost 1,000 hours here. A lot of these guys have got way more than me. And I guarantee you every one of them that does facility or logistics a lot, they do have an auto clicker.
It's also recommended you pick one up for artillery ops.
While I'm pulling this salvage, does anybody have any questions real quick? I know I kind of threw a bunch of information at you guys.
We never really went over how power works, just that there is power.
That is an excellent point, Mom. As soon as we get back, let's go ahead and we'll load up, go back to the facility, and we'll talk about power and power generation real quick. Also, we should go over maintenance supplies. So while we're heading back, guys, every player-built structure, be it foundations, defenses, facility buildings, all require maintenance supplies in order to not decay. The two main places to put maintenance supplies are inside of a bunker core, or if you look to the right here, it might be your left, but this right here is what's called a maintenance tunnel. You can actually come up to it and select it, and you can see how many maintenance supplies is in it in the top right, what types of buildings that it will actually keep alive, and how many maintenance supplies it uses per hour. So right now, this this maintenance tunnel is keeping together, or keeping all fitted structures, all rails and foundations, and basically any placeable material like resource containers or liquid containers within 100 meters. It is keeping them alive, and it is currently using 31 maintenance supplies an hour. So at 1.5k maintenance supplies, this is going to last quite a while. When we really get the facility running, we could be pulling as many as 4,000, 5,000 per maintenance tunnel. Taco, what was our record what was our record, Taco? 22,000 that one bore?
We're doing 22,000 a day in Viper Pit.
Yeah. Be thankful that they changed the maintenance supplies, because the war directly before that, we were in Den of Knaves, and that facility used 50,000 maintenance supplies per day.
Well, don't even get me started on bunker supplies and garrison supplies back in the day.
Yeah. Modley, can you let me by real quick? Thank you. Good thing to note about the small gauge guys, you cannot kill anybody with it. No matter how hard you try, you cannot run them over.
We have tried a lot.
Even if they're laying on the ground and can't move. Oh, perfect timing. So as you'll see right there, guys, our stationary harvesters, you'll see that they're actually moving. So the coal field just respawned. Anytime that these are moving, they are actively harvesting. And these also have queues on them, just like any other building.
There's only 3 reasons these things will stop.
Sadly, these also can't kill people. We have tried a lot.
Everybody try.
Yes.
69th Research and Development Laboratory is just 2 people throwing each other into whatever objects and seeing what kills them.
That's about it. Alright guys, we're gonna briefly We're gonna briefly touch over power real quick, so if y'all follow me. We have all of
I'm not gonna lie, I thought.
Go ahead, Spectre.
Oh, I thought you said, okay, we're gonna briefly touch grass real quick. Yeah, everyone come back in like 5 minutes.
Probably. We probably all should. So,
We need this grass over here. This is my favorite grass.
it is. I love my little tree in the middle of all of the smoke and coal factories. But guys, as you see, these 2 buildings right here, these are your power plants. They've been upgraded to run on petrol. So these are automatically fed. So we take the oil produced by the coal liquefiers, and we turn that into petrol, and then we feed it into these buildings automatically. So as long as we keep shoving coal into those buildings, this will keep making. These will keep running. Something important to note.
You show him,
Go ahead.
did you show him what the oil refinery was?
Yeah, I'll go touch on that one and how to set queues on it. These 2 buildings over here, they're a little bit more of a pain, but these are the 2 power stations. If you'll access the inventory on them, you'll see that they use coal and water. They turn it into 10 power. And we currently have 9.4k coal in here. So, same thing, we auto feed the water on this, so just every once in a while we have to input coal. If we fill this up with the maximum of 32k coal, it will run for over 30 hours, even at max power. So basically, 1 time a day we have to come over here and use a coal field to clear it. These petrol plants right here, so the power stations, they are exclusively powering the coal liquefiers and the reformer that makes the petrol. I say that because these 2 buildings should always be on at all times. That way, when people come here to the field, they can still use the coal liquefiers. They can still have access to petrol to use the stationary harvesters, which also run on petrol. They are also auto-fed. These 2 petrol plants right here are basically what run our facility. If you're the last person on, but you didn't set these power queues, you can't turn this off. So I can look in the logs and see who set the power queues. The human being turned this on 9 hours ago. I cannot turn this building off. What I can do though is come over here to the back and take a wrench and I can actually wrench this valve closed and basically shut the petrol off to the plants, so we're not wasting it. If we don't shut this off at night, it will continue to run and we'll just be wasting petrol. So if you're the last person on, or if you know nobody else is going to be running the facility, please do come over here and shut this valve. You simply grab a wrench, hit C, and click the button. You'll have to click it a few times because you'll notice it will go, yeah, just like you were trying to unwrench. You'll have to click it a few times because it'll start at like 50 liters and then you'll have to get it all the way down to 1. Briefly touch on this over here. So this is our reformer. We should also double check to make sure this has max Qs at all times. This is how we make our petrol. So we auto feed, for the most part, we auto feed the petrol into the reformer, and then that gets fed throughout our facility. You'll also notice that it has 1.K petrol right here. This is what's known as the stockpile. So we can actually pull this using the small gauge train, just like you were using to pull coal. We can actually pull with that small gauge train, and that's how we keep petrol down at the mines. These right here are our LTSs for our fuel, so this is our petrol reserve, so we keep 500 petrol in here. And these two over here are used for heavy oil. If you ever see that this LTS is dangerously low, let's say you come over here and you see that the petrol is down to 100, you can pull from the reformer and then deposit it in here. A good quick way that you can check to see the level without actually having to go up to it is these 4 little lights right here. 25, 50,
Oh, I didn't know that.
75, and full.
Do it by truck or fuel car. Excuse me. Don't do it by hand.
Yeah, use the train right here. This train can pull from the reformer, and then you should be able to pull up to right in this area and shift E into the liquid transfer station and deposit it that way. Please do not kill yourself pulling by hand. Alright, and last thing that we're going to talk about, like I said, everybody, I told you about maintenance supplies, but one of the biggest things, and it's always a pain every time we do a facility, and that's just making maintenance supplies. They can be made at any of these 3 factory buildings here. Alright, let me go move the train so everybody can go get to the front real quick. Hold on, Turtle, I'll move the train out of the way. It's 7:30. Yep. So all 3 of these buildings, guys, can make maintenance supplies. If you're not sure if we need maintenance supplies, set a maintenance supplies queue. Drop salvage into it. If anybody gets mad that you're making maintenance supplies, tell them to deal with it. We can never have enough. I mean, seriously, it's one of the most tedious things about doing facilities, but it is critically important. And even just logging on, running, you know, if all you do is log on and you're like, alright, yeah, I'm gonna go grab, you know, a thing of maintenance supplies and clear the coal field once, guys, that is fantastic. It is appreciated more than you know.
I recommend we set maintenance supplies in the assembly bay because all 3 of these are full of salvage right now.
I was about to ask which of the 3
What?
would be the best to use, or is it just the one that
Not that many.
has free queues?
So we'll go ahead, yeah, we'll go ahead and set maintenance supplies now in the assembly bay, and we can go ahead and set them in the forge as well. Give everybody practice setting queues. So
Oh, should I not set one so they can do it?
yeah, let Spectre, let Shakes, not that one, Shakes. So that's the assembly bay.
If you hit Shift E, you can, when standing in between them, you can see which one's the forge.
So, do you do them personal at the facility or public?
Public. You always want to do public queues. There's a few instances where we will do private queues, but those are going to be in... That's basically when we're going to be making like really rare materials like steel or assembly materials level 5. That's the only time that we're going to be making private queues. and somebody will probably ask you to come set that queue. That's not something that we'll just set, you know, all day. Alright, I see 2 queues here, so who's got... Oh, that's mine and Tacos. There we go, Spectre's got it, bloodied. So it'll be
I'm just looking at the crafting queue.
I got you. And some of this stuff, guys, it's just best to jump into it. Tell me that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
I noticed the coal.
Oh, go ahead, Spectre. Sorry.
I was about to say I noticed the coal thing. It was right after you mentioned that the salvage here was full. I went over and saw that the coal things weren't mining, so I'm like, oh crap, we should probably get that salvage. And
there are 3 reasons these will stop. One you won't have to worry about, which is it running out of petrol. We've taken care of that. The other is they're full, which is probably the reason they stop. They can hold 2.5k.
That's why I checked.
And then the last one will be if this node is empty. So there might still be coal on the ground, but if it's at the point where no more will spawn, they're not gonna mine anymore.
How do we get sulfur for the assembly material 3?
So we actually produce that in the coal liquefiers. If you'll go look at the coal liquefiers and look at the queue we set, one of the byproducts of it is tin sulfur. So it will produce concrete materials, sulfur, and oil.
You can also mine. You can also mine sulfur and bring it in.
Or go to sulfur mines and pull them out, just like salvage mines. I recommend checking on the map and hovering over so you know if there's actually sulfur there before you drive all the way over there.
Yeah, notice that we are very far from sulfur mines of any kind, shape, or form, so it's very important that we produce our own at this coal field.
Yeah, because not only will we be needing it to produce assembly materials level 3, if you'll come over all the way to the east side of the base, you'll actually see that we have 2 ammo factories over here. And we are making not only artillery shells, but also rockets.
Yeah, so we had like 1,000 shells already.
Yeah, it's convenient for us to do it here rather than in factories, because people can also do this shit on the midline or front line.
What's the difference between the 2 different fire rockets?
So what there is there is a fire rocket, and then there is an HE rocket. So if you hover over it, you'll see one's
I see it now.
Explosive, and one's a fire rocket.
Yeah, I see the fine print
The
now.
HE rocket has high HE damage with a chance of catching things on fire. Fire rocket has a high chance of catching things on fire with low damage. It's just a swap of stats between the two.
Copy.
Thank you. So, important thing, grab salvage, deposit, make MSUPs, help clear coal field. If there's anything that you would like to upgrade, or if let's say you find a random vehicle and you're like, hey, I want to try and upgrade this into something cool, ask one of us. Well, there's a lot of guys, Ficus, me, Evie, Taco, Dirty Dan. If you see anybody that's an officer or guard, they could show you how to upgrade something in this facility. And we'll be more than happy to. This is we do also do upgrades for the public, so maybe you see somebody down in
preferably commanders or people with facility mastery. Some guards are still not obligated to learn facilities, so some of them are stronger for like Logi or frontline. So definitely can't go wrong with facility mastery.
If you're not
for
if you're not sure what Taco's talking about, if you'll look like in the Discord next to some of our names, you'll see a gold bar next to it. So that is either for facility mastery, logistics mastery, or if they have a double gold bar, we call it Logi Lord, which basically means you know just about everything there is when it comes to either logistics or facility work.
I want to be like that.
So you hate yourself. Got it. You're mine. But either way.
600 and something thousand materials gathered get on my level.
Yeah.
How many?
I'm Logi Lord in real life. I gotta take pizza
I'm only
around
at
town.
206,000.
I went hard this
Someone
weekend.
said they were Logi real life. What?
Guys, that's going to conclude this.
Pizza delivery.